Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of This Is My Bourbon podcast. I am your still stopped up, hopefully for the last time, because I recorded 2 episodes in 2 days, host Perry. And with me this week is our remote co-host for the week, Adam Terry.
What's up, man? How's it going?
I thought you just weren't going to say anything.
Sorry.
Which made for good Zoom content, I guess. But, you know, if I'm just
no one
chatting,
will ever know.
If I'm just chatting with myself, there was a period this week where I was like, Swan can't record, Adam can't record until Tuesday or Wednesday. You know, what am I going to do for this week? And I was like, maybe I'll just try doing one where it's just me talking for an hour. I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't know what I would say for that long. It'd be bad. So
who's going to listen to that? Like Lucy doesn't even want to listen to that.
She doesn't want to listen to podcasts at all.
Well, I just meant you.
I know she doesn't want to listen to me.
Yeah. Love her. Hey. Love the kid.
Oh, I love my little family.
Yeah.
I had my first ever Father's Day this past Sunday.
How'd that go?
It was awful.
Awful.
we were driving home. We were driving home from vacation or from the beach, I guess. I wasn't really vacationing. I was working the entire time. But we drove like 12 hours the day before and then another 4 hours on Sunday. And so it wasn't that bad. It was just, I was tired and I was kind of grumpy and, you know, just wanted to like relax. And we're still going at 90 miles an hour, not down the highway, but you know what I mean?
That's unsafe.
Yeah. Don't do that. Don't drive 90 miles an hour. I don't know why I'm looking at the camera. Maybe this one's not going to get released to YouTube either. Speaking of YouTube, I am assuming, because I gave myself the time frame, that the second produced episode is out at the moment on youtube.com/This Is My Bourbon podcast. And it is a video where I examine why rare breed could be considered the best value in bourbon. So if you would like to go check that out, please do so. Subscribe. We're getting closer and closer to 1,000 subs, which is crazy awesome. And I'm at the point where like, I'm tired of talking about it. So if we could just do it and get it over with, it would be spectacular so that we can move on to me complaining about not being at 2,000.
I have an idea. How about we do a giveaway at 1,000? I think that's a great idea.
I mean, that's the plan right now.
Yeah.
I haven't figured out exactly. I think I said what it was on last week's live stream or a couple weeks ago. But I will have done a giveaway for 900 subs as well by the time this episode comes out. So
nice.
Wacky timelines, man. I don't know what to say. But also, if you are new here, thank you so much. If you're returning, thank you so much as well. Hope you're doing great. And if you have not yet, please subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a rating and review in the podcatcher app of your choice. We do see those. It is a great help for the show. Gets us in front of more people who search for bourbon on their podcatcher app. So, and tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. And patreon.com/My Bourbon Podcast. Little as $1 a month. Support the show. Anyway, we got Fine Blind kind of, but it's going to take up like the entire show. So we're gonna just kind of cut and paste where it would normally go to a little bit later. And so now I'm going to ask you, Adam, what have you been drinking recently?
So I've been drinking a lot of Weller 107. Sorry for those that can't find it. I am kind of prepping my palate a little bit. We have a Maker's Mark private select pick coming up soon. So I know it's not exactly the same, but that's kind of my goal is to try and find something that's similar to Antique 107, kind of hits those fruity, sweet, maybe a little appley notes that I like. And if we can't find anything like that, then I don't know, maybe we'll find something weird. But yeah, I mean, 107.
I don't think that I've ever had a Maker's private select that is close in palate to Antique 107. I've just not seen it in my experience.
I totally agree. I actually got the idea from our mutual friend Tarek down at Elixir.
Mm-hmm.
He used to do this really interesting, I'll say, trick where someone would come in and ask for Weller. He'd have a sample bottle and he'd pour some out and go, "Oh yeah, I love it. Can I get one of those?" He goes, "Sure." That's actually my Maker's Mark private select pick. It's not Maker's, or it's not Weller.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
that's a great idea. Anyway.
It was a great idea. He actually had both. He'd have a bottle full of a Weller bottle full of Makers and a Maker's bottle full of Weller. He'd also side by side and blind people. And he said like 9 times out of 10, somebody would choose the Weller because they saw the bottle.
Yeah.
When in fact they were liking the Makers.
It's dirty. So, it's dirty, Tarek.
I like it.
I like it too. That's perfect. Everybody gets, it doesn't always. So, if you know Tarek, or as many people call him, Tarak, the jury's still out on how to pronounce his name, which is not true because he knows how his name's pronounced. But for anybody who has never been Taraked at Elixir, it's an experience to have, man, of just going, "Hey, I would love to try something." And he says, "Okay, how about that?" And 8,000 other bottles on top of it. And it's a great time, but you can't do it for a long time.
That's exactly right. You've got to either come with a designated driver or be prepared to go next door and get some pizza or some McDonald's and chill out for about an hour, because it is a fun experience. You will leave with something in your wallet, or in your bag, rather. Nothing in your wallet.
Nothing in your wallet.
No, you will buy something from that store, guaranteed. But it's always a good time. I always have a good time down there.
I do too. I want to, of course I missed out on it during 2020, but I need to just make a trip down to Franklin and the Franklin area to see you and see everybody over there too. The podcast guys. Go see Tark.
Go see podcast.
What the heck, man?
I don't know. Just smells kind of greasy.
I have to see John Edwards too. Anyway.
I do love some John Edwards. Also love some Zeke. Zeke and I have been talking a little bit lately about Bullet. They recently picked a Bullet barrel, so we've been talking about doing a Bullet barrel kind of with my group, and Zeke was giving me some good pointers on that.
We'll talk about it off air. I had a thought. We'll talk about it off air. Anyway, I don't really have anything too new because I am literally coming off another day of recording. So if you've not listened to last week's episode yet, Chad of It's Bourbon Night and I reviewed the Single Cask Nation Turkey Warehouse G pick, and good stuff, man.
How was it?
It's spectacular. It's really great. I think that there is something to be said, and if you've listened to the episode already, by the time this one comes out, I'm retreading a little bit of ground, but there is something about the spectacle of it that it's just it's basically a barrel proof Warehouse G Russell's pick, but where else can you get that? I mean, it's $100, so it's not the cheapest thing in the world, but at the same time, like, it's so cool to be able to own a bottle of that and to share it. I cracked it open on Father's Day with my dad and my father-in-law, because it's a product made by a father-son team, so it's perfect, But anyway, it's a great bottle. I really, really enjoyed it. I also got to try Chad and Sarah's 4-gate pick, the rye, which is night and day compared to a Wild Turkey single barrel. I was not prepared for the mint explosion that I had when I drank that rye whiskey. It's really good, but I just was not ready for it at all. And they've still got some too. So if you're not an It's Bourbon Night patron and you want a bottle that they picked themselves, go and check that out. Patreon.com/It's Bourbon Night.
Nice plug. I like that. Yeah. It's good friends. You
gotta support. Boys support boys, man.
And girls.
Girls can be boys.
Well, hey, we're gonna edit this out for sure later.
That's not what I meant.
For me, support everybody. Love Clifton. Love It's Bourbon Night, Chad and Sarah. Love you guys.
Yeah, of course.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Yep. And what's really cool is that I think over the past year, we have seen the whiskey tube community just grow tighter and tighter and tighter. I mean, it's so funny how often I talk to people in that community now. I mean, like almost daily, pretty much. And before it, I was just kind of like floating along. I was like, yeah, I do my live stream and I upload my podcast to YouTube. But now and part of that's the advent of me doing produced content for YouTube. But I'm just very happy to be a part of that group of people. And maybe next year I'll get to go to the Bastards Ball. My invite must have gotten lost in the mail.
Yeah, I think your owl got lost.
It's fine. I'm really not salty about that at all. I doubt they even know who I am. So doesn't matter. Anyway, so you a few months ago, Adam Terry, I say a few months ago, I'm talking like last year, a few months ago, gave me and Swan, and I'm not drinking all of these. I'm not drinking every one of these in total so that Swan can have some of them as well. And you specifically said to him no less than 2 times, don't let Perry bogart all the samples. So I'm trying to abide by your one wish and leaving at least half for him to try out of all of these. But so you gave me this box and it was 6 different sample sets. And we're going to do the first sample set. Each set is of a different variety of distilled spirits. And the reason I say that is because it's not all whiskey. There's some that is brandy, right? Is that the only one that's not a whiskey?
Yeah. So basically, you have 6 sets of 6 samples. Yep. Say that 6 times fast. There's traditional bourbon. There's rye. There's some Armagnac. There's some cognac/brandy, and there's also some rum. And my personal favorite, I think I said this last time I was on the show, I'm a big fan of Irish whiskey. Mm-hmm. So I put a set of Irish whiskey samples in there as well, knowing that Swan had been going through Irish and gave him some pretty good samples, and he just hasn't had them yet,
Wait, I wanted to save this for when we could have you on the show again, too. And so, yes, I know that they've been sitting around, but I wanted to make content with them. It felt like they needed to be, talked about on the podcast or on a live stream or what have you. So
I'm on board, man. This is great.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get into these. So we're starting out with the bourbons. Of course, I figure that's only appropriate. So it's 6 blind samples. I've already poured glass A, and I know I sound stopped up, but I'm still tasting and smelling great. So I'm feeling like I'm in the best shape of my bourbon tasting life at the moment. So
I mean, I'll have to trust your opinion on that one. I don't know that this is the what's the Big Blind Bear Bake Off. What was the thing that you went to with It's Bourbon Night?
Oh, the big blind bourbon tasting competition or something.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah,
way back in 2018, before I knew what I was talking about.
Oh,
now I could probably crush it. Yeah. I could probably do pretty well, but back then I was like a fish flopping around on a deck after being caught by a lazy fisherman. So anyway, let's check out glass A, or number 1. It's labeled with numbers, Perry. Get it together. So this is B number 1.
Perfect. So I'm not going to give you any hints. All I ask from you is give me your general feelings. I don't care about tasting notes or anything crazy. Just, do you like it? Do you hate it? If there's anything you do like, what do you like about it?
Right.
And if at all, try and give me a proof point.
I can do that.
Rough. Okay.
I can do that. Yeah.
You've been crushing it in this competition stuff,
that
though.
Madness, so yeah. And I think when this episode comes out, my semifinals battle is going to be this week. So, and I've got to go up against Kyle from Bourbon Blind. So,
ooh, have you seen Kyle's new studio slash, I'll say collector hut?
Yeah, it's sick.
Insane.
It's so cool. He and It's Bourbon Night are just killing it with their displays. Everybody really is. And I'm in my garage with a very crowded bar, but that is what it is. It's fine. It's fine. It's all fine. Anyway, this is a really weird nose. Like, I was not prepared for this. Like, oh, it's like cherry cough syrup note on the nose.
Okay. So if you had to rank it like thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways, kind of like the Bourbon Pursuit, ranking system, what would you give it? You know, do you love it? Do you hate it?
I don't like the nose so far. I mean, just kind of straight up, it's not really got anything about it that screams bourbon, first off. And it just, I don't know. It's really one note. There's like a potpourri bright note towards the back end of the nose as well that I'm not a fan of. I got to be honest with you. It's very perfumey. Eau de Bourbon.
Ooh, interesting. Okay, that's fair.
Except not Eau de Bourbon because, you know, I don't think it really smells too much like bourbon. But anyway, I'm going to try it now. The palate's better than the nose is, I would say. I'm still getting that, like, a little bit of that cherry cough syrup note that I was picking up on the nose. Not as much, though. It's kind of settled into some fruitier flavors. Oh, man. I'm having a hard time placing proof on this one, though, because it drinks pretty hot, but it doesn't, I don't know, but it's just kind of all heat. Like, it's not the robustness of a higher proof product.
So I don't have the sample in front of me right now, but I do agree with you. I think this drink's hotter than something like a Stag Junior, which has depth and character.
Yeah.
I think this is just a little too much heat.
Yeah, I think this almost drinks like an off Antique 107 pick, honestly. I'm gonna, because I do find that it's pretty, it seems like it's in that 107 range too, maybe 110. So I'm gonna stick with 107 as the proof on that. And that was only after one sip too. I haven't even had a second one yet, but part of me does kind of feel like it might be finished, but again, I also feel like it could just be an off Antique 107 pick. Because was it 2017 or was it 2018 where like nobody had good antique picks?
That's
like,
a good question. I've got a bunch from like 17 and 18 that I enjoyed, but those are Nashville picks, so it could be different from back and forth.
It could be. It just, I feel like I remember there was a year or like a 6-month period or whatever where nobody was able to get a good Antique 107 barrel. I think I actually remember John and Zeke talking about it too around that time. I think towards the end of 2018, they had done an episode where they were talking about how everything had been super off for antique barrels. That
maybe
year.
It skipped a year. Maybe that's why our Weller Foolproof we did was subpar, you know?
Can we actually talk about this now on the podcast?
Hey, if you want to, sure.
So I alluded to this a few weeks ago, and you called me out after the fact and were like, don't subtweet me on your podcast, Perry, about a barrel pick that came off bad. And you had this Weller Foolproof pick, and you guys, I mean, you chose it. You had to have liked it when you were at the distillery, and it got to you, and it was wrong or bad.
So, all right. I think I've mentioned this before, but I'll give you the quick 30-second elevator pitch. We won the barrel opportunity back in 2019, and we were scheduled for April 2020 for the pick. Obviously, COVID happened, so that got pushed back. We finally get there in September of 2020. There are, I think, 6 or 7 of us on the barrel pick. It was a little limited because of COVID. We could not thief from the barrels. Everything was already poured into sample glasses for us at Buffalo Trace. And I have to say that Susanna was absolutely fantastic, as well as the other person.
Yep.
It's definitely not their fault. And as a matter of fact, we had Freddie on the tour, which was
that's
tremendous.
fantastic. Yeah.
He was awesome. Like above and beyond on this one, he was really cool. And he actually joined us on the barrel pick. So I thought that was interesting.
That's
pretty cool,
so
right?
Cool. Yeah, no kidding.
Long story short, we picked a barrel that we all kind of liked. It was kind of, heads and tails, A and B, whatever. But we settled on one. As a matter of fact, Freddie liked it too. We were going to nickname it Freddie's barrel, but, I get in trouble with that one. So it was supposed to be, we picked it in September. It was supposed to be bottled in like November, early December, and maybe we get it December or January. Not a big deal, 90 days or whatever. Time goes by, we get an email that says because of COVID, it got bumped back, and then never heard anything for like a month. So they ran out of bottles. Then we got pushed to the back of the bottling line in the queue. Finally gets bottled in, I think, late February. We get the barrel in late March, early April here in Nashville. And we take it to one of our buddies' houses, open the first bottle, and it is gross. It is not what we picked. We have tasting notes, but because of COVID, we weren't allowed to take a sample bottle home to compare with.
Yeah.
So the first bottle we popped was sour, bitter, and like overly oaky, almost like you had like a 20-year bourbon. It's, super odd, off profile.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just to make sure that maybe it was us, maybe we had a rough day or whatever, we opened a batched Weller Full Proof to compare against, and that batched product blew it away.
Wow.
Okay, well, batches typically are very on brand, on profile. So let's open a single barrel. We opened another single barrel from another pick, and that one blew us away. So I'm like, oh, crap. Reached out to Buffalo Trace, reached out to Sazerac, and as of literally 2 weeks ago, we finally got everything resolved 3.5 months later. So,
jeez.
Yeah. Long story short, I think that the barrel sat in a cold warehouse all winter, and I think it got over oaked. And they've definitely stepped up and said, yes, it is off profile. Send it back. Let's get you a new barrel pick. So that's where we're at.
So are you going to be able to actually repick, or are they just sending you a better barrel?
No, I think we're going to repick the barrel at a later date.
That's cool.
I think because of the limited allocations, I don't know when they'll squeeze us in. I haven't heard that back yet, but long story short, we are excited to pick another barrel. Kind of tempted to pick a 107 or maybe even a special reserve at this point, because that foolproof was not great.
Yeah.
And I've kind of heard that the foolproofs in general are a step below the 107 picks of yesterday,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you could just do single barrel. Weller single barrel.
That is true. That's 94 proof though. But hey, we'd have the first private single barrel in Nashville. That's something.
There you go. Yeah. Gotta be thinking.
Charge twice as much, make that money, buy another barrel.
Sell that one for 4 times as much.
Yes.
Buy out Kenneth Copeland at his church for some reason.
Just buy a liquor barn. Oh, wait, they just got bought out.
Oh, no, you can't do that now.
We'll talk about the news later. How about that?
We'll talk about the news on another episode, maybe. All right, so I have moved on to sample number 2. Okay, that smells more like bourbon than sample 1.
I probably should have asked, do you want me to identify what they are as you finish the sample, or do you want to know at the end?
I'll know it. I'm fine waiting until the end.
Okay, sounds good.
Because I mean that's how I've been doing it with Matt Madness, and I figure if nothing else, I'm at least confident through all 6 of them, as opposed to being confident on one and then second guessing myself the entire time.
Fair.
So I'm let's wait until the end. But this definitely smells more like bourbon, but it is also yet again a little off. I don't know what you did to me on this flight here, Adam, but
Now, you say it smells off, but is that not bourbon off, or is it finished off, or is it a different spirit off?
What do you mean? Like this could actually not be bourbon?
I promise you they are all bourbon
Okay.
whiskeys. Now, if you want to get Wade Woodard about it, maybe there's some finished stuff in here. Maybe one of them is an American whiskey, but it's all bourbon-ish.
Okay, that's fine. It smells more finished
Okay.
than the first one might have. It's really like barbecue saucy.
Ooh, that's a good note.
Yeah. I
Okay,
don't
so
normally get barbecue sauce or barbecue in general on bourbons, but people talk about them all the time. So now I know.
I've only had that one time. It was a Wilderness Trail bourbon, and it was straight up like KC masterpiece barbecue sauce. Weird as all get out. And I don't get that note very often either. If this is finished, and if you think it is finished, what kind of finish is it? Is it a wine finish? Is it a rum finish? How nerdy do you want to go?
I feel like it could be wine finished. I feel it could also be Armagnac finished because it does have that like tanginess that a wine finished bourbon can get. But I wouldn't be entirely surprised if this were an Armagnac finished product. However, that maybe it's just the suggestive side of my brain. Though when you said rum, I was like, oh, maybe it could be rum. There's a little raisin note in there that I also get, especially on the finish. But
I cannot wait to share the tasting notes of this product with you when you get done.
In a good way or a bad way? Like
I don't want to spoil it.
That's fine. That's fine.
You are better than you think you are.
Oh, fantastic. I also don't think it's super high proof. I don't think it's much higher than like 95 or 100. I'm going to split the difference and say 97. Overall, it's pretty good. That barbecue note is a little bit off-putting at first. I mean, not in a bad way, but I just like wasn't expecting it. So, I mean, it's a pretty solid product, I would say.
Thumbs up, thumbs down. Would you buy it?
I'm gonna give a thumbs up. I would probably buy a bottle of this. I don't know if I would drink it regularly, but I would definitely take it out to show people a unique, different side of products. So
perfect. I like that. That's a good bottle characteristic to share with people. If you, it's not a daily drinker, if it's not something super special like the antique collection, get something finished, get something weird, and share it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna let that sit for a bit because I do kind of want to come back to it. But I'm gonna go ahead and pour some of number 3. How am I doing so far? Aside from
fantastic, actually. Like I don't want to spoil it, but I mean, I think you have something going here, and I think you're going to do pretty good at that Cocaine Bear blind off or whatever it's called.
The story of Cocaine Bear, which is a real thing in Kentucky for anybody who doesn't know. And I will say one of my favorite podcasts of all time, Do Go On, did a fantastic episode. It's a report about Cocaine Bear. And they're in Australia. If they ever make it to the United States for a tour, if they ever make it to Kentucky, we are definitely taking them to Cocaine Bear and doing a shot with Cocaine Bear. I wouldn't shoot it though. I'd sip it like a gentleman.
There you go.
I'm
like a real gentleman.
I'm a real solid gentleman, Adam. Doesn't that sound like I just got a big old snot bubble?
It sure does.
All right. You sending the tasting notes to everybody in the in the group chat?
Little group chat here. Hey, look away.
Okay.
You're not supposed to be cheating.
I'm not.
So this is sample 3, is that correct?
This is sample 3. This one also smells very fruity. I'm picking up like an apple juice note. It's weird. I don't know. After all that, I'd say one thing that's slightly different. And you're like, I don't know about this guy anymore.
Apple juice? Did you mix up your child's drink?
She's not.
No, that's way too dark for apple juice. That's some special apple juice right there.
It's uncut, unfiltered apple juice.
My pappy gave me some apple juice.
Came from a jug that had 3 big old X's on it.
Ooh, triple X.
He said, "Here, boy, drink this." Except he ain't got no teeth, and I can't understand a word he says.
It's too close to my actual grandfather. Real talk. I remember as a kid going and visiting him one time with my dad. It's my dad's side, and he offered me this mason jar, and I'm like, "Oh, cool. What is this? It looks like water. Sure." Nope. It was very flavored corn whiskey, and it was hot. That's the purest alcohol I've ever had.
I'll save my half of this real talk until we're done. I don't want to get anybody in trouble. So
perfect. My grandfather has passed away, so that's perfectly legal now.
This person has not. This person has not. So
this was a joke for all legal purposes.
Adult Swim. 3's got me a little stumped. It is crisp. I mean, like it does. And when I say, I think that's kind of when I'm trying to describe it, and I'm saying something like apple juice, and it's probably more like apple cider. It's just got a real crispness to it. Kind of like apple cider or biting into an apple for the first time. The nose is kind of throwing me for a loop a little bit. I'm not getting anything super distinct.
If you had to guess, just based on the nose, is this like a spicy bourbon? Is it a finished bourbon?
I think it's a more mellow bourbon, honestly.
Okay. Have you had a sip of it yet?
Yeah, I'm going to go back for it again, though. Kind of reminds me of Heaven Hill. I could see this being a Heaven Hill product. I don't think it's super high proof again. I'm gonna ballpark most of my proof guesses, just because that's probably for the best. I'm gonna say 95.
Okay, this is number 3, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't think that it's crazy old either. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is like 6 to 8 years old, honestly.
I mean, for me, that's crazy old these days.
Well, I mean, that is true. That is
off the shelf for like barely 4 or 5. We've been doing, side note, we've been aiming for our 12th single barrel this year. And the large majority of our single barrels, or what's available out there, they're all under 6 years.
Yeah.
So 7, 8 is beautiful these days.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm just when we're talking about older bourbon, or more hyper oaky bourbons. You get something that is just more in your face with it, I guess. So I don't think it's got too much age on it. But I don't dislike it. I think it's a little light. I think it'd be a good starting pour for your evening. Right out the gate, get the motor running.
That is interesting.
Okay, cool. Well,
interesting.
I think the wheels kind of fell off on number 3 there.
You'd be surprised.
Okay. All right, man. All right, pour number 4. And Swan, yes, I promise you, I am saving enough for you to drink all of these. See?
At once.
At one time.
All of them blended together at once.
In one glass.
Like in one glass, it's a big Perry pour. It's like a suicide.
Hate yourself.
Oh yeah,
you're
absolutely.
Gonna hate yourself very quickly.
Might as well just drink Malort. Shout out to my friend Ethan, who is from, I think, really from Indiana, but he loves Malort, which I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't think I don't think, maybe, you know what, maybe that's why our Weller barrel sucks. I think he picked that barrel. It was his barrel.
He was drinking Malort beforehand.
Yeah. And he just loves Malort.
Donnie likes Malort too.
Donnie's broken. I mean, just the short answer, Donnie's broken.
Oh, we have fun here.
I've been to Elixir with Donnie and Diana, and I can promise you, Donnie's palate is questionable at best. I think Tarak had I want to say it was a Scotch, maybe a peated Scotch finished rum or something along those lines, that I would just rather drink trash water than drink this stuff. It was that bad. And Donnie was like, tastes great. No, dog. Nope.
Did you just do a Donnie impression in there too?
Maybe a little bit.
I think I heard it. Donnie, we love you, buddy.
Absolutely.
All right, sample number 4. Oh, hello. Smells like snickerdoodle cookies. Getting a little bit of raisin on this one too. I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into being a finished bourbon. I think this is the highest proof of everything that I've had so far.
Comparing sample 3 to sample 4, Are they similar? Are they different? This is not a leading question. I'm not trying to trick you. Just curious.
I think they're pretty different. I still think that number 3 is the lowest proof that I have had so far. I don't think that they're completely different, but I do think that they're different enough between the two. If that makes sense. Am I talking nonsense now? I think I'm talking nonsense now.
I think you're just trying to hedge your bet, you know?
I think so too.
I think you just got to make a decision. Is it good? Is it bad? Does it suck? If it sucks, how bad does it suck? Like, is it trash? Is it great? And again, we're on sample 4, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I think this is the youngest one that I've had all night too.
Interesting.
Yeah, it seems like it's got a pretty high malt content. It also seems to be fairly corny. I don't know if the corn that I'm picking up is for a lack of age or just maybe it's a wheated bourbon. Yeah, I would bet that this is the youngest out of the 4 that I've had so far. I think that this one's tripping me up with proof just a little bit. I think this could easily be 100. It could easily be 110 though. Because there's plenty of like alcohol bite on the palate, but the finish is pretty long. So it's got a good balance there. And I think the proof, if what I'm postulating is correct, the proof is doing a lot of the legwork for the lack of age. So
interesting. Could be.
So I'm gonna safely sit at 110. I wouldn't be surprised if I was wildly off on that one though. Wouldn't be surprised at all. So I like this one though. I think this is not my favorite that I've had so far, but I still like it quite a bit. I could see myself again breaking this out and showing people, if this is a younger product, showing them what that can do or how that can hold up or how it can stand up to some older products with maybe less proof points and show them how balance is important. So
That's a good place to end on that one.
now I'm talking out of my butt. So let's move on to sample 5, shall we?
Sure.
I am really excited to find out what all of these are.
I'm excited for you to find out how close or far away from what they were.
I'm going to be surprised no matter what. Because, like, some of them I've been fairly confident on. Others, it's been like, I don't know, man.
I put in some tricky ones here just to kind of mess with you a little bit, but they're not bad. There's nothing gross in here. They're all decent, bourbon or American whiskeys. So
yeah,
I think they're good. And I think you're doing, again, better than you think you are.
Oh, number 5 is really good. That is a great nose. I dig that a lot. Oh, it's like brown sugar and toasted marshmallow. Oh my goodness. Little bit of of berries on the back of the nose as well. It's kind of tucked away under some of the some of the darker notes that seem to be taking it over.
Out of the set of 6 samples that you have, this was my personal favorite, and
I can see why.
It's an extremely limited edition bottling. Not to give it away too much.
Okay.
It is very good, and I wish I would have bought more than the one bottle I have. And I'm excited for you to find out what this is.
Is it Booker's 30th?
I wish. I don't even have a Booker's 30th, man. I found a good deal on a Booker's 30th like 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of Donnie wanted to surprise Diana for her birthday. It was a big birthday and
that's right. Yeah,
event.
I remember.
And so I was like, all right, I'm a good person here. Maybe I'll get some karma in the afterlife, And so Donnie gave that to Diana, and they're fabulous. So I passed on a Booker's 30th for friends, Perry, back when it was actually affordable.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown. Oh, hold up. That is tasty. That is really, really tasty. Oh, man. It almost tastes like, it's almost got like a carrot cake thing going on as well.
Now, I'm not a carrot cake fan, so I don't have that tasting note in my profile vocabulary, tasting journal. I don't know, whatever.
Your thesaurus.
No, my thesaurus is a short little guy. So, no, I don't have that one.
You're just going to gloss right over that one?
Thesaurus? T-Rex? Raptor? Anyway, I don't eat a lot of carrot cake. That's my mom's favorite cake, but I don't have that tasting note. I have to go pick one up. Maybe it's glazed with marzipan.
No, it's not marzipan-y. It's not almond butter. Actually, maybe there's a little bit of almond butter in there.
I got, you keep going. I don't want to say anything to affect your.
You got cookie
choice.
Butter instead of almond butter?
I do like cookie butter. And actually, I love cookie dough. Side note.
Chocolate chip cookie dough is the best ice cream on the planet.
Somebody actually went and did the smart thing and made edible cookie dough without, I guess, the raw eggs that makes you sick.
Yeah,
and it's fantastic.
Yeah. Proof on this one, I think this is the highest proof out of everything so far. It plays a little coy, plays a little deceptive, but I think that this is when it's really starting to take off. I think this is starting to get into the 1-teens. I'm going to say 115 on this. It could easily be 110, I think, as well. But I'm sticking with my gut. I think 115 is a pretty good spot for it. I don't think it's finished. I think it's just, if it's a single barrel, it was just the one barrel that it came out of. If it's a blend, I don't think that it was finished in anything else. It definitely doesn't smell like it's double oaked. So, or taste for that matter. So that one's great. That is easily my favorite out of the 5 that I've had so far.
That's a really good bottle. Trust me.
I believe you. I fully believe you on that one. And now for the 6th one. I didn't have a good lead up for that. Let me try the run up again on it. And now for the final bottle pour thing. It's number 6, y'all.
This one's interesting as well. This is
Okay.
I'll say divisive bottle. Some people love it, some people hate it, but it's won many awards.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it's George Dickel bottom and bond. I haven't even smelled it already.
No. It's not. It's not that kind of divisive.
All right.
Well, some people say like, I don't want to pay that much for a bottle, or I don't think it's worth that much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
I love that face you're making.
Huh?
Huh?
Pardon?
Give me a note. What do you get? Anything? Thumbs up, thumbs down, good, bad, party rocking tonight.
Not in this house.
Ugh.
But everybody's just gonna have a good time. Well, it's 8:12. It's past my bedtime at this point, so I don't know. I'm kind of torn on this nose. Like,
Do you think it's I'll give you, it is a bourbon. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Do you think this is let's say like a rye bourbon, a wheated bourbon? Can you get any of those notes at all?
I don't think. Dang it.
Pull it together, Cocaine Bear. You can do this.
I've gone from lovable pear bear to cocaine bear. That's good. That's exciting, and it's a fun time for me.
Could be worse.
Could be.
Yeah.
I once again think that it has a pretty high malt content.
I guess that kind of depends on what you consider high malt. Like for me, I think high malt is like Chattanooga, where it's very malty.
Yeah, I think. Well, I just think that the malt is pronounced on this one quite a bit. I think it's a rye bourbon. I think it's being very deceptive. I feel like I haven't tasted it yet either, so maybe my thoughts will change.
Is there anything off-putting on the nose?
Yeah, there was something like, it smells like lipstick, like old lipstick tubes.
I'm sorry, Grandma. I also don't have that flavor in my profile, or my palate, as it were. I can't tell you what lipstick smells or tastes like.
I was an adventurous child.
Sounds like it. The pear bear knows a good cougar, I guess.
That's not what I meant at all.
Oh, so sorry.
Not even close to what I meant, but just you took it there.
I think you're honing in on maybe like a waxy note.
Yeah, that's like exactly what it is.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I do get that on this one as well. Yeah.
I want to say something too. Based on your comments, if this is an LE product, I would be upset if that is the first thing I smelled out of the bottle. Truly.
That's a perfectly fair judgment too, you know. And again, limited edition doesn't mean limited good, or it doesn't mean it's fantastic. It just means that it's limited. A single barrel is extremely limited. So the waxy note that I get on some of these older bourbons, I relate to those. They're called nickel nips. They're the little wax bottles with juice inside that I get at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
That's the waxy note that I can find sometimes.
Yeah.
I find it in some older bourbon.
When you say older, do you mean like dusty? Do you mean?
Yes, like sometimes it's like, 12-year-old bourbon, not like a Weller 12, because obviously that's a little sweeter, but like 12, 15-year bourbon. Sometimes I'll get a waxy note, especially the dusties. Like there's that dusty funk that we all kind of think it's like, it's the lead in the pipes or it's the cypress tanks or whatever. There's a little bit of a waxy kind of antique store vibe.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say, I don't hate the palate. I think the palate is actually... it's kind of redeeming almost for its for what I didn't like about it on the nose. The more that I smelled it, the better it got. I think that's just a product of it sitting open in my glass for a few minutes. I got over that waxy lipstick tube note. Lipstick tube is such an awful phrase. But it's not bad. I still think 5 is my favorite. I think I don't know if I can rank all of these based on tasting them so quickly. But I like it. I think it drinks really well, actually.
Yeah. If you had to guess a proof point on number 6, what would you assume?
I think this is one of those older bourbons with a lower proof point. I'm gonna stay safe. I'm gonna say 90.
That is a good guess, but okay. I guess we'll find out.
We will find out. So, this one I've felt, not like immense pressure or anything with Matt Madness, but I've been very deliberate with everything. With my training, and just once it actually got to the competition, just kind of being stressed out about it and being just full force, really honed in and serious too at the same time. But this was like a nice kind of shift away from that, so that I can work those muscles a little bit without really having to, compete or, I guess get scored or anything. But I will say it was nice having these kind of specific questions to look at as I was tasting through everything, though. So I'm going to turn it over to you now so I can find out how bad I screwed up on all these. But I'm excited to find out what these bottles are.
So you're not being scored by any means, but you are being judged. And I'm very judgy.
Okay. I know you are. I've met judgy. You.
Ooh, that's rough. Okay. All right. Speak your truth. All right. Let's go through these one by one. All right.
Let's do it.
So sample number 1, you told me that it was drank a little hot. It tasted a little off. It wasn't a traditional bourbon for you, but it was okay. A little floral, I think you said.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's right. So sample number 1 was a barrel bourbon, 18-year Kentucky whiskey.
Whoa. Wow.
This was a single barrel for the Nashville market, roughly 116 proof, which so you nailed that.
Okay.
And again, 18 years old, but it's not a bourbon. It was a whiskey.
Sure.
Used barrels. So I think you nailed that pretty spot on. A little off profile because it didn't have some of those darker notes, but
yeah, absolutely.
It drank hot. Absolutely. And it was kind of floral.
Yeah. I love the stuff that Barrel puts out. Truth be told, though, I wasn't a big fan of Seagrass, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But I don't know. This one kind of missed the mark for me. It's not that I didn't enjoy drinking it, but I was just kind of like, all right, let's move on. You know what I mean? So
totally agree. I took a flyer on this bottle, and at $100, I think it's a hard pass for me again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those where, okay, you think age is the best thing about a whiskey. Let's put age up there and see. No, it's not. Age definitely helps. It's better than a 2-year, but Yeah, age isn't everything.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to sample 2.
Sample 2.
You told me that this was a little, as a matter of fact, I shared those tasting notes you gave me in another little group chat here. You told me that it had some raisiny notes, I believe. You told me that it gave you some barbecue vibes.
Yes, I did.
And I think you may have said, what's another note you said? You thought it was maybe wine finish, but then you kind of thought rum finish a little bit.
Also, maybe Armagnac.
Maybe Armagnac. You know, you are on point tonight. This was the 2019 Belle Meade Cask Collection Mourvedre finish, which is a wine.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Pretty close.
Sweet.
You told me that the proof was a little lower. I think you said maybe around 100 or sub 100.
Yeah.
It was 101.6. Pretty good.
Sick. I'll take it.
Yeah. And so while you were talking, I Googled Mourvedre tasting notes. So this particular smoky red wine found in central Spain and southern France has tasting notes of blackberry. You said raisin, but that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Also kind of a weird, purplish fruit.
Uh-huh.
Black pepper, roasted meat, tobacco, and cocoa. So you were right there, man. You said barbecue.
Heck yeah, dude.
Roasted meat.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Take it.
I'm proud of you on that one. That was a stretch for me, man. I probably could have got wine finish, but you said barbecue smoked meats, and I'm like, oh, damn.
I'll take it. I've got a palate at least. I mean, I guess I do. I don't know.
So fun fact on this one real quick. I think this was the 2019 release from Belle Meade. It was their Craftsman Cask Collection, 11-year-old MGP, 21% rye bourbon, rested in a single Mourvedre wine cask for, I want to say it was like almost 6 months, something crazy.
Wow. Okay.
So definitely wine finished, and you picked up on that. So that was good job.
Awesome.
Yeah. Sample 3.
Uh-oh.
Sample 3, you said, and if anybody's listening to this, please feel free to rewind. You said that this one was a low proofer, kind of weird, soft, I think you may have said.
Yeah, mellowed or subtle or something like that. Yeah.
But I'm going to say this. I shit you not. You said uncut, unfiltered when you first tried this, and that is exactly what this is. This is Smoke Wagon, uncut, unfiltered, batch. I believe it is. I actually don't have batch numbers on this one, but it's 56.04% ABV, so 112.
I think that, what did I say on the proof on that one?
You said this was a lower proof. You did miss a little bit on this one.
Yeah.
But this one was a blend, and I think you actually said this one tasted a little younger, maybe.
Yeah.
This one was a blend of barrels by Smoke Wagon, obviously. And I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it had some 4-year, some 5-year, and maybe 8-year blended together.
So I wasn't too far off on that.
You really weren't that far off.
Truth be told.
Now, personally, I got a little more heat on this one than you did, but that sample's been in there for quite a while. So
that is true.
Knows?
That is true. Yeah. I'm going to be very honest for a second. I don't fully get the hype with Smoke Wagon. I really don't. Everything I've had has been solid, but there's not been anything that I've had so far that makes me think I need to get a bottle of this. You're going to want
to edit and cut out what you just said. But don't cut this out. This is good. This is good content right here. This is where you insert foot in mouth.
Oh no. Okay. All right.
Oh yeah. We'll get there.
All right. Here we go.
All right. Moving on. Sample 4, you said had the highest proof so far, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I believe you had some decent things to say about it, but overall, it's a good bourbon, a little hotter proof, but solid. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yes.
Sample 4 was Smoke Wagon, uncut, unfiltered, 56.34% ABV.
Jeez Louise, man.
And it was literally back to back with the other one as far as batches go. These were the two first batches that landed in Nashville.
Okay.
So these were the same blend style, same barrel age, I believe. But personally, I think I agree with you. I think sample 4 for you, or the 56.34% ABV, I think that was the better of the two uncut blends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It's still, man.
It's solid.
It is.
It's solid.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
But compared to sample 3, that's why I asked you, how do you think 3 and 4 compare? They're they were made on the same weekend. Like one was made on Friday, one was made on Saturday.
But they don't read like the same company or the same NDP.
Yeah. I think you said this may have been, you said maybe this was high malt or something like that on one of these Smoke Wagons. And I was like, I think this is just the high rye MGP. So this is like 60% corn, 36% rye, and whatever the remainder 4% of.
Yeah, right.
Early. But close. Yeah. Close enough.
Yeah. All right. Make me eat my words, Adam.
Sample number 5, which you said was your favorite of the day.
I did.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Nope. That's correct.
Sample number 5 was a Smoke Wagon single barrel.
Oh, snap. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
So this was a one-off single barrel, 8 years old MGP high rye bourbon for a group that I'm in. Mm-hmm. And I'll give a shout out to a couple of the guys, Brian, Ford, Nate. They put this thing together. It's a fantastic bottle. By far my favorite Smoke Wagon that I've ever had.
I agree.
And I really, really regret not buying more of these, but I just didn't know. I had never had it before.
Yeah.
And it's like a big purchase. These single barrels at the time were like 120, 125. So that's a big ask for a random bottle. But it is fantastic.
It is really, really good. I still don't know if I'm fully convinced that I would buy a bottle of it. That's just me. But I do think that this is far and away the best Smoke Wagon I've ever had.
I'll agree with you there too. I think that Smoke Wagon in general, and MGP distillate in general, is kind of hit and miss. Like a lot of guys think it's all the same, but there were some specific runs that were fantastic.
Yeah.
Some of the newer stuff is kind of hit or miss. Once they realized that they had to start pumping this stuff out, it's okay. But if you can find an older, 6, 8, 10-year-old single barrel, fantastic. Absolutely try it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
But again, if you're not a fan of MGP, skip it.
Yeah. And I've had plenty of MGP that I've liked. But it's just, I feel like those products are mostly gone. I don't really see myself buying too much or any MGP products in the future. Unless something's just an absolute hitter, but that being said, if you caught me on the right day, I would probably buy a bottle of this.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
there's a good chance of it, but all that being said, what's number 6?
All right. Sample number 6. You said it was roughly like 90 to 100 proof.
Yeah.
That was on point. This is Bottled and Bond.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Pretty good.
Cool.
You said that the nose had some weird off notes, maybe a little high malty, little something waxy. I think you said lipstick case.
I did. I'm like,
I don't know that I get
it's
that.
Fine. Just move on from it. Pretend I never said anything.
It is Bottled and Bond, which means it's at least 4 years. It's at least it's 100 proof exactly. You actually nailed this earlier.
Oh, was it a Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond?
No. This is George Dickel Bottled and Bond 13 year. This is the first batch they did, batch 1. That bottle right there, yeah.
Yeah, that's sitting right next to me, which is funny.
But it's not something you reach for every day. That's kind of the...
No.
If you put it in a blind like this with other, good drinking, interesting bourbons, it does kind of blend in. But if you are, I'll say, attuned to the Dickel flavor profile,
it's there.
You may love it, you may hate it, but if you're drinking other bourbons, you won't notice it. Or at least not as much.
Is this the one that you said was divisive and I was just like, oh, it's Dickel Bottled and Bond?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I lied. I said, no, it's not Dickel. It totally was.
Yeah, and what's funny too, though, after you said that I was wrong, I looked at the bottle and I was like, oh, it's not bourbon. It's Tennessee whiskey. So joke's on you, I guess. Or
joke's
mostly
on you.
Me.
It's also bourbon.
Joke's on me. Yeah, it is. But yeah, I haven't had that in a while. I don't think this whiskey, don't want to get in trouble, is ever going to improve for me to the point where I want to drink it regularly. I have had it. I mean, you saw my bottle. It's got about a third of it left, maybe a little bit more than that. It's never hit me right. I've never been excited to drink it. It's always been purely out of just interest or, trying to see if it's changed at all. But it's so weird and it's so off profile. And when I say off profile, I mean like off profile for bourbons. And of course that's what my palate is attuned to. I just don't like it that much. I don't think that it's necessarily all that bad, and I can understand why people like it. But for me, I would rather drink a 4-year bottle of Bond from Heaven Hill at, a fraction of the price for this one. So
I think you're not wrong for sure. This is divisive. Some people love it. Some people hate it. But what I'll say is this, if you step back and take the label off of it, this is a fantastic whiskey in and of itself.
Sure.
It's 13 years old, made very well, high quality distillate, a good price point. I think these were like $39, something crazy.
Yeah, I think that's
they were
right.
Here at least in Nashville.
Yeah.
So if you step back and think about it that way, this is a fantastic value, which is why I think it won Whiskey of the Year, and I think it was 2019.
Mm-hmm.
So
it was.
I think that's why it won, is more the value prospect. If it was from Buffalo Trace, 13 years old, 100 proof, what would that go for? $300? Crazy money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But, I think that the label kind of mystifies a lot of things. A lot of people don't try things because of the label. And I think that's what Nicole Austin at George Dickel or Tullahoma, I think that's what she's doing down there at Cascade Hollow.
Yeah.
They just recently put out an 8-year age-stated bourbon that is a line extension, so it's going to be a permanent thing.
Cool.
And they're calling it bourbon. It's not Tennessee whiskey.
That's different.
Yeah.
I got to try it then.
Killer value.
Awesome.
She specifically came out and said that she wanted to add something to the product line that wasn't their normal, like Dickel 8 or Dickel 12 or the Tabasco or whatever. This was a solid bourbon line extension, and to get people drinking George Dickel again, to get over that, I'll call it a hurdle.
Sure. Yeah. I like I've said, I have wanted to like this bottle. I mean, I've given it just about every chance in the world. Even blind, I'm going, I don't know about it. So it's just not for me, man. I'll be happy to try the later iterations of it as they start to roll out and trickle out. But, I'm a one and done on this guy right here.
Hey, I'm right there. I'm right there with you, man. So, it's not my thing either. I think it's interesting. I'll have a pour with somebody to kind of experience it with them.
Yeah.
But to tell you the truth, man, I gave this to my brother-in-law blind with a Weller 12 blind, and he picked Dickel 13 over Weller 12.
Wow.
So just goes to show you that not everybody has a good palate,
That's what this entire thing has just been a setup for. It's for you to air your grievances and to take shots at family members.
You know what? That's what podcasts are for, right?
So once we get to the Irish whiskey, then we're going to be talking about how your aunt gave you a weird look when you were 7, and you've never been able to forget that. And some people have bad palates.
That's exactly right. You know, I'm part Irish, so I think it's in my heritage to just shit on people. So no. Brother-in-law is a good guy, good friend. Shout out to Zach. He's into bourbon. He's into whiskey. He's having a great time with it. A little bit of a tater, but we all are. So It's all good. Nothing but love.
Sure, man. For sure. All righty. Well, that's the first round of the Terry. What are we going to call this? The Blind Terry Invitational?
Ooh.
Yeah,
I could do that. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to give you a big head or anything. Yeah. So we're going to be doing this basically once a month until all these samples have been had. So next month, what should we do? Should we do the Rise, or should we go crazy and try something not whiskey?
Ooh. Well, let's plan for rye, but maybe you're feeling frisky. Maybe you want some rum. Maybe it's
sure.
I'm trying to think what's July's anything. You know what? Let's do rum. I think rum is an interesting summertime drink. So,
I'm down.
And tell you what, there's some fantastic rum in this list. So, looking forward to that one. I may imbibe with you. Actually,
I think you should. You should. Well, what about tips and bits? Do you have anything to recommend to people?
I do, as always.
Yeah. So it's not always bourbon related, tips and bits, but sometimes can be. But I don't know what you got. So what is it?
I'll tell you what, there's a fantastic show on Disney Kids. It's called Puppy Dog Pals. And that's what I've been watching nonstop for like the past.
Is this really happening? Are you really doing this?
Happening? Yeah. As a father, post Father's Day, trust me when I say no. No, it's lots of good stuff out there. I actually watched. There's a new thing on Disney Plus called Raya and the Dragon. I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was good.
I'm looking for. I haven't seen that one yet. I haven't seen Luca yet either. But I'm excited to check both of those out. The Cruella movie too with Emma Stone is supposed to be fantastic. I'm really interested in checking that out. As
a side note, after you watch that film, you should go watch. There's a YouTube. I forget who did it. Maybe Game Theory or maybe I don't know. One of the channels. I'll send it to you. They did a theory. One of
the few channels on YouTube.
Right.
There's only a handful.
They did a theory like how much would it cost to take care of 101 Dalmatians? And like the numbers are staggering. Like you've got to have $1 million a year just for food and water and somebody to take care of the dogs. And obviously you got to have space for 100 dogs. So you got to have a castle and all this other stuff. Yeah. Interesting watch.
Yeah, please send that my way. I'll talk about another. It wasn't really a YouTube hole that I fell down this past week, but just kind of stumbled across it somehow. Paul Vischer, Vischer, whom you might know as the guy who created VeggieTales, has a YouTube channel and he has his own podcast. It's called The Holy Spot, which sounds real bad. I know. You recoiled a little bit when I said that. I know.
Such a bad name. People do not think about branding.
It's not a great name. But he's made a few produced videos for YouTube as well. And I'm saying these because I found them really interesting. I'm not saying that I, watch them out of a certain affiliation or party that I might fall into. But the first video that I watched was, why do white Christians vote Republican and why do black Christians vote Democrat? And honestly, it taught me more in about 30 minutes than I remember from my actual civics classes in high school and college. Really, really fascinating watch. And puts into perspective, I think, a lot of things that people are struggling with modern Christianity in the United States. And this is not the place to go down that rabbit hole conversation. But it's something that we've all kind of been dealing with over the past, 5 to 10 years, really 20 years in this country, and trying to rationalize people's actions and thoughts and beliefs and whatnot, and taking it from a very fact-based point of view and using that as kind of a jumping off point for a conversation. It's really interesting. And I'm not trying to tell people to think one way or another. That's not what I'm about. I'm also not telling anybody that they have to agree with me after or before watching any of these videos that he's put out. But I would definitely encourage people to check it out. It's super interesting. I mean, he's very to the point with everything. I'm hoping that he puts more videos out. Like I said, he's only had like 4 so far produced videos. I just can't get into another podcast right now. I don't have it in me to give that energy. But if you
do your own podcast,
I do my own podcast. Yeah, I do my own podcast. I've now got a YouTube channel that I'm running. I've got a baby. I've got so many things. I got a lot of stuff. Okay, so just get off my back, everybody. Just leave me alone. Just stop.
I googled this guy while you were giving me that speech.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm really excited to watch the How Doritos Gave Us Donald Trump video.
I haven't watched that yet.
That sounds interesting.
I'm curious.
I'm also curious.
I'm nervous.
Not any affiliation, not trying to sway anybody's opinion, but the dude says that Doritos gave us Donald Trump. That's interesting.
I don't know how, but I'm going to find out.
Is it nacho cheese or Cooler Ranch? That's what I'm worried about. I really don't want it to be Doritos. I mean, Funyuns, sure, you can have Funyuns, but don't ruin my Doritos,
don't ruin
man.
Doritos for me.
Yeah,
don't ruin that one perfect Cool Ranch Dorito that you find in every bag that's loaded with all the seasoning.
Super loaded. Yes.
Did you catch last year when Doritos put out like their extra seasoned Cool Ranch, and then it just disappeared?
Yeah.
I was so mad. I wanted that to be how every Cool Ranch Doritos bag is.
That's how it should be.
It was like a week, and then I never saw it again. And I don't know if it's the Walmart that's near us or the Kroger that just doesn't carry it anymore, but what a bummer when those just disappeared off the face of the earth. Do you remember 3D Doritos?
Yes, I just saw those actually. They're back.
Yeah, they brought them back. I don't remember. So they came in a tube back when they were first out. I'm pretty sure they came in a tube.
A Pringles tube?
Similar, yeah. Okay. I think more like the Lay's stacker chips.
Gotcha.
But so they've changed those Cool Ranch though, from being just Cool Ranch to a like spicy Cool Ranch, and it's not bad. But I wanted my old 3D Doritos back. You know, I was a little bummed, but still great. A beggars can't be choosers, I guess. But anyway,
hot tip: get your 3D Doritos while they last.
Yeah, I guess. No kidding. And if you have a good stash of the extra ranch, Cool Ranch Doritos, extra seasoning, whatever they're called, hit me up. This is my bourbon shop at gmail.com, or slide into the DMs on social media, because I'll inject those directly into my veins. Like, I need those so bad. So bad.
And on that note,
that's another episode of This is My Bourbon Podcast down. Adam, thank you so much for hanging out with me this week. As I said, you will be back monthly until these samples go the way of Pappy Van Winkle being on shelves. I almost said the dodo, but I wanted to make it more topical related to bourbon, because
it's a good bourbon. Yeah, good topic.
Adam, where can people find you on social media?
Please don't. I'm too busy. My life's too full. No.
That's fine.
Bourbon group is called Nashville Bourbon Society, all one word on Instagram. That's the best place for bourbon related content. Follow us, check us out. We got a lot of cool barrel picks coming up.
Yeah, you do. We also have another collaboration pick coming up soon, hopefully.
That's what you think.
Fingers. Oh, all right. Well, fine. Shoot.
We can't talk about that yet. It's not. I'm
trying to get people hyped. We got to get them over to the Patreon.
We may or may not have a couple bourbon picks in the in the not too distant future.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
one now, maybe one in the fall.
If you liked Riffmas, or if you missed out on Riffmas, this is your opportunity to not make the same grievous mistake. So you get on the Patreon, patreon.com/This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Support the show. It's really good. Helps me out, helps us out, keeps the lights on, keeps my baby fed. And you also get the chance to purchase some of our upcoming barrel picks. So that's my plug for the Patreon this week. I won't even plug it again before I sign off. That's it. Not only do you have to not listen to me say it 3 times, I give you a little extra incentive that maybe you'll have a barrel pick soon. Anyway, if you want to follow me, I am at pritter1492 on all social media channels. I am also at My Bourbon Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review on the iTunes podcast app, or as we have recently discovered, on the Audible app through Amazon, of course. You can leave a review there as well. And this one comes from our buddy, Patrick Starkey, who left us 5 stars. And he said, best bourbon pod around. The chemistry that the hosts have show their true friendship and love for all things bourbon. Perry, the main host, is very genuine and isn't afraid to let his true self shine through the microphone, even if he gets stuck in a fit of laughter. That is true. So sorry I laugh. It is very cool to be a fly on the wall, so to speak, during their journey through the Bourbon Trail and beyond. This podcast is right up my ball house. So,
right up your ball house?
Do you not know about that joke?
I might have missed that one.
We'll talk about it later.
All right.
Anyway, thank you, Patrick, for leaving that. You can find all of our apparel and merchandise at bourbonshop.threadless.com, including our skateboards, which only one person has still bought, Extra Crispy Chad. You can send questions or comments to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. Go live every Thursday night on YouTube, and the produced episodes go up every other week. YouTube.com/thisismybourbonpodcast on the road to 1,000. Hopefully we will get there very soon. And I'd said I wasn't going to plug Patreon, so I'm not going to do that. So we're just going to awkwardly end the podcast this week. Is that fine?
Works for me.
All right.